So these are the 5 sort of steps around stepping into a process of healing. And when I talk about healing, I'm talking about healing on every level. I'm talking about healing on the physical level. I'm talking about healing on the emotional level. I'm talking about healing on the spiritual level. I'm talking about however healing is alive for you right now. What we are being invited into is to first recognize the need for healing. We first have to acknowledge, I've been having this pain in my hip for 2 years now. I finally went and got x-rays and I'm getting an MRI. Like, why does it take us so long to acknowledge that there's something that's in need of healing? What is the resistance? We think we're supposed to be perfect. What if the imperfection of this and the way that that love is going to heal that is actually going to reveal my inner perfection? What if I can remember what I said. You know how I get on a roll here, you guys. But what if instead of whatever I think is an imperfection, my hip is not functioning correctly, and I somehow see it as an obstacle to my perfection, as something that is a sign, a living example of how things are not working perfectly? And what if instead I open to the idea that in the healing of whatever this is, that I will actually reveal more of my inner perfection than I have ever revealed before? What if that is actually the process that we're being invited into? So in the midst of that, we have to honor our feelings. And I know we're a path of positive thinking, but that doesn't mean that you don't get to be mad. That doesn't mean that you don't get to curse at the pain, right? That doesn't mean that you don't get to be frustrated or annoyed or sad, right? You get to have your emotional experience, but what we know is that our emotions are momentary. Sometimes they feel like they're forever, but they are always changing. They are not a constant. Even when they feel like they're a constant, they're not. They're mutable and changeable. So if we actually step through the emotions, if we actually meet them and greet them and say, hey, pain, how are you? Hey, anger, good to meet you, right? If we actually dance with what we're actually feeling, we actually can move through them in some way. We can actually begin to step into a space where we can then practice compassion. It opens us up to that deeper understanding of who we are. So if our emotions are sort of roiling all around, our compassion and our love, that's like bedrock. But in the midst of all that turbulence, we can't always access the compassion. So we have to allow the turbulence. We have to honor it. We have to recognize it. We have to practice what we can to move through it with love, with compassion. And from there, we can begin to see the window cracking open that we might be able to trust our inner perfection. That we might be able to trust that there's nothing you need to fix. Take a breath with me. There is nothing you need to fix. Truly. We are on this process, this evolutionary impulse. So it is always growing, changing, expanding. You couldn't stop it if you tried. So don't bother trying. Welcome that there is something new arising, emerging. That is the healing process. And then the last piece is really to let love fill the cracks. Let love fill those cracks, because you are actually stronger. So the place where something that's broken has been healed, right? It's actually stronger there than it was before. This is what we're being invited into again and again and again. This is why life sort of does what life does, so that we can continue to grow into that truth of who we actually are.